What you're about to see will blow your mind. This is the Dashti Loot Desert, home to the flycatcher bird. She's out hunting. Various spiders, her prey, hide in the cracks. The bird spots one climbing up. Of course, she can't pass up an opportunity like this, so the flycatcher swoops in to try her luck. Ha! I bet you didn't see that coming. What just happened? How is this even possible? The bird flew toward the spider, and suddenly a snake lunged at her. Is this some kind of incredible teamwork between the spider and the snake? A stunning example of animal symbiosis? Nope, not at all. It's all about this snake. It's one of the most amazing creatures on the planet. It was only discovered recently, and so far this type of snake has only been found here. It's incredibly vicious, but even more cunning. Its excellent camouflage makes it almost invisible among the rocks when it stays still. On its tail, it has moving scales that look like spider legs, with the tip resembling a spider's body. And the snake uses its tail to the fullest, luring unsuspecting victims right into its jaws. This is the sorokoput. It hasn't eaten in a couple of days and saw something that looked like a spider. The bird thought it was about to have lunch, but in the end, it nearly became lunch itself. Well, not this time. The snake goes hungry. But the ones who'll never go hungry are the parrots, living along the Amazon River, because when they need to, they can start eating soil. No joke. As strange as it sounds, there really are animals in the world that eat soil. Dozens of different species compete for the best spots. They line up in a strict order. Unfortunately, some large predatory birds take advantage of these places, trying to attack the parrots while they peacefully eat soil. So, the parrots fly away at the slightest hint of danger, but they always come back or search for another spot since they often crave soil. Parrots can spend hours at these sites, munching on soil and squabbling over the best positions. Things change, though, when these feathered creatures are raising their chicks. During this time, everyone hurries to eat, stock up, and fly off. Parents need to bring their chicks more than 5 kilograms of clay before they're ready to fly. This is because, far from the ocean, these animals lack salt. Without it, the chicks' brains and bones can't develop properly. Luckily, the soil in these areas is 40 times richer in essential minerals than anywhere else in the surrounding forests, which is why they need to eat it. Once the chicks grow feathers, they'll fly with their parents for another year to collect clay. This helps them remember where to find it, as it's not only good for the young but also for adults, since it helps neutralize toxins from the fruit seeds they eat. The lungfish, which lives in the murky waters of swamps and rivers, uses soil in a completely different way. The remarkable ability of these creatures has helped them survive for roughly 300 million years. When a severe drought hits and the water dries up completely, these fish start breathing air just like mammals. Sometimes the drought lasts for years, but for lungfish, it's not a problem at all. They dig into the mud and create a burrow. The fish then covers itself with mucus, which dries and forms a tough cocoon that protects it from drying out. Inside, it slows its metabolism and waits. A year, 2 years, even 3 years pass. Local people may forget there was ever a lake there, but the lungfish continues to wait, buried in the ground. Sometimes locals use the dried earth from the former lake to make building blocks, unaware that a fish is hidden inside. And then, when a building is constructed and the fish is sealed within a wall, the long-awaited rain finally arrives. The moisture reaches the lungfish, waking it up and bringing it back to life. Suddenly, the fish bursts out, straight from the wall. It's incredible. On an evolutionary scale, this solution changed everything. These fish were around even before the dinosaurs, and now it's easy to see why they outlived them all. Clearly, they still have a bright future ahead. But those who definitely don't have a bright future are the insects that fly toward the beautiful lights decorating the caves of New Zealand. In the wild, light in the darkness can sometimes be a deadly trap. These silky threads are spun by the larvae of the fungus gnat. Despite their beauty, these threads have a sinister purpose. They're used to catch prey. Sticky drops on the threads act like glue. Fungus gnat larvae, also known as glowworms, create a glow thanks to a chemical reaction in their tails. This glow acts as an irresistible lure. The hungrier the larva, the brighter the light it emits, attracting victims like moths to a flame. Hundreds of these glowworms live here, together creating their own starry sky, a sight that could be considered the most magical lighting in the entire natural world. This spectacle confuses flying insects, which instinctively move toward the light, only to suddenly find themselves trapped, caught in the dangling threads. At that moment, they are doomed. Glowworms are cunning creatures. The more you learn about them, the more ruthless and repulsive they seem. Once a glowworm catches its prey, it bites or tears through the insect's shell and sucks out its insides. A single thread can reach up to 1 meter in length. After catching its prey, the glowworm turns off its light to save energy. It carefully moves along the thread, following the vibrations, and consumes whatever is hanging at the end. It even eats the thread itself, recycling the silk. Creatures on Earth developed the ability to produce this remarkable material early in evolutionary history, more than 300 million years ago. At first, silk was probably used as a kind of glue, much like how lacewings use it today. Take the female lacewing, for example. She lays her eggs on plants, but there's a problem. If ants find the eggs, they'll eat them. So the lacewing does something clever. Instead of sticking her eggs directly onto the plant stem, she first creates a tiny drop of sticky silk, then attaches an egg to the end of it. This way, the egg hangs safely in the air. The lacewing produces silk in liquid form using glands in her abdomen, but as it comes out, it hardens. This is true for the silk of all invertebrates. She can lay up to 30 eggs a day, each one on its own separate stalk. These threads are so thin that predatory insects, like ants, walk right past the eggs without even noticing that a tasty meal is just centimeters away. And even though ants are constantly searching for food, the lacewing's eggs stay hidden. After 3 days, the eggs start to hatch and the larvae come out. The larvae are now on their own, but thanks to their clever mother, they've already gotten a big head start in life. Madagascan weevil beetles, which look like creatures from a fantasy world, are also incredibly talented when it comes to caring for their eggs. The males use their long necks to fight each other, hoping to get close to the female, whose neck is much shorter. While the males battle, the female starts an ambitious construction project. First, she pierces the leaf veins to create small folds, then uses her legs to fold the leaf in half. Next, she wraps the end of the leaf and lays just one egg in the center of the coil. Across the rainforest, all the females are busy wrapping their eggs in leaves, and it seems each one has her own unique design. These soft leaves are the only place where the females can build their nests. Their behavior is truly one of a kind. Meanwhile, the males fend off various insects to stop them from laying their own eggs inside the leaf. The female even creates a Velcro-like fastener to help hold everything together. After a few final touches, the nest is complete. When the female bites off the leafy roll, it falls to the ground, where the little one rests in relative safety. All this effort just to hide a single egg. But when it comes to hide and seek, no one beats the frog living in the damp mountain forests of the Andes. This frog has taken the art of camouflage to a whole new level. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary, but it has a trick up its sleeve that truly amazes scientists, a trick that helps it escape predators like the eyelash viper. The snake's sharp eyes spot its prey. The frog leaps away and pulls off its signature move. It creates a three-dimensional camouflage, like something straight out of a science fiction movie. Its new shape, color, and texture blend perfectly with the moss around it. This rain frog, a true shapeshifter, was discovered in 2014, though maybe calling it a transformer frog would be even more fitting. This camouflage expert lives in just 11 trees across the vast forest. But among amphibians, there are far more astonishing creatures. For example, in South America, on the border of Brazil and Venezuela, there's a plateau isolated from the rest of the world where an incredible black toad lives. This rocky area is a perfect home for it. The humidity there is even higher than in a tropical forest, and best of all, there are no snakes. But there is another predator, a tarantula. It sneaks up on its prey. The black toad can't jump, but it has its own clever way of staying safe. When danger comes, it turns itself into something like a stone and rolls downhill. It does this by tightening its muscles, becoming hard and bouncy like a rubber ball. The toad is so small and light that the fall doesn't hurt it at all. These amazing evolutionary tricks are exactly why so many amphibians and reptiles have survived for millions of years. But some creatures have to die to survive. Yes, it sounds crazy, but in the cold mountains of New Zealand, this actually happens. A snowy storm sweeps in, freezing many living things. Then, just as fast as it started, the sun can come back. Even a little warmth is enough to start a thaw, even underground. That's where we find the frozen giant Weta grasshopper. It has one of the most incredible survival strategies. It can come back to life. The secret lies in its ability to produce special proteins that prevent ice crystals from forming inside its cells. Some other animals can do this too. Take frogs, for example. You've probably heard of amphibians that can wake up after being frozen. Their bodies also produce proteins that protect their cells from ice crystals. Next, we have a Madagascar spider looking for a home. It has just found an empty shell, which will make an excellent shelter from the heat in the island's desert areas. But lying in the shell on the sand isn't safe, so the spider does something truly amazing. It attaches a web to the shell and starts pulling it into the bushes. This behavior was filmed for the first time in history, and may have also been observed in the wild for the first time. Each new thread the spider adds is shorter than the one before, and gradually the shell lifts off the ground. Technique is key here. The shell needs to be secured from from several angles for maximum stability. Some spiders don't get it quite right, and when the wind picks up, their shell becomes unstable. But when done correctly, the spider creates a strong and reliable home, protecting it from all the dangers of the surrounding world. While some creatures use available resources to improve their lives, others use, well, other animals. Take the incredible boxer crab, for example. This tiny crustacean has to work hard to survive in a tough world where everything is huge and dangerous. Here comes a fish, looking to snatch an easy meal, but it doesn't realize our crab has a secret weapon, a perfect pair of boxing gloves. As the fish gets closer, a quick left hook makes it think twice. In reality, these aren't gloves, they're anemones. The crab has grabbed these animals with its claws and is holding them captive. Now they have to protect it. The tentacles of these tiny relatives of jellyfish contain a powerful poison. With each punch from the crab, the anemones sting the attacker, forcing it to retreat immediately. But to survive, the champion has to keep its gloves in top shape. Scientists have found that if given the chance, anemones can grow up to 5 times their normal size. So, the crab steals their food and keeps them hungry to stop them from growing too big for its claws. The anemones become hostages, held tightly by the crab's iron grip. It's a shocking but clever way to defend itself. However, this doesn't guarantee the crab total safety, because another crab will almost certainly try to steal this valuable weapon. A fight breaks out over the right to own the boxing gloves. During the struggle, the attacker manages to snatch part of an anemone, but even though one of our crab's claws is now empty, it's not a big deal. It simply takes the remaining anemone and splits it into 2. Anemones don't die from this. They can survive even when divided. Over time, the 2 halves of the torn anemone will grow back to a size that fits the crab perfectly, and it will have 2 excellent boxing gloves again, ready to knock out any opponent. Crabs in general are full of surprises, and there are many unusual species out there. Take, for instance, the sand bubbler crab, which lives on the damp beaches of northern Australia. At first glance, these beaches might seem lifeless, but the sand is actually teeming with tiny microorganisms. The sand bubbler crab has mastered the art of finding them. It sifts through the sand at an incredible speed, filtering out microorganisms and leaving behind little rolled-up balls of sand. These crabs are so thorough that they clean every grain of sand within a meter of their burrow, but they have to work fast, because they can only sift the sand while it's wet, and it dries out quickly. The crabs carefully arrange their sandballs to keep a clear path to their burrow. Before long, the entire beach is covered with these strange little balls, a truly bizarre sight. Once their work is done, the crabs retreat to their burrows and wait for the next tide, which will bring a fresh supply of microorganisms to the sand. Sand can also sustain other creatures in a completely different way, such as by being used to build a trap. In the African savanna, there's a hunter that does exactly that, the antlion larva. When it grows up, it will transform into something similar to a dragonfly. And at that stage, its only goal will be to mate, barely eating at all. But for now, this predator is a ruthless monster, focused entirely on feeding and growing. To achieve this, it digs a pit in the sand and lies in wait at the bottom, keeping its jaws raised as high as possible. It can flick its head so quickly that sand grains shoot out like bullets. Then, it waits. When an ant stumbles into the pit, it struggles to stand. No matter how hard it tries to escape, it can't. The sand slips out from under its feet, and the ant gradually tires. That's when the antlion, with its venomous jaws, drags it under the sand and devours it. For the antlion, the key to hunting is staying hidden. Sometimes you can see many of these cone-shaped pits side by side, each one a deadly trap with a fierce predator at its center. Some ants are lucky and manage to climb out of the pit, but most don't. When an antlion catches an insect, the prey is usually doomed, though every now and then a miracle happens, and an ant manages to escape its jaws. But the antlion has another trick up its sleeve for situations like this. It starts throwing sand into the air, creating a landslide. Incredible. The victim already had little chance of escape, and now, with sand and rocks raining down from above, survival seems impossible. Yet even in such dire circumstances, there are rare cases of luck. This ant, for example, managed to survive, but for every lucky escape, there are many more unfortunate endings. Once the antlion finishes its meal, it rebuilds its trap and waits for the next visitor. And while this sand-dwelling insect might remind you of creatures from science fiction movies, it pales in comparison to the fantastical nature of our next hero. Let's travel to Australia, a scorched continent where fertile soil, plants, animals, and water sources are scarce across its vast territory. Few creatures can survive here. This is a kingdom ruled by reptiles. Rain is extremely rare, and a lizard like the molok has to make up for the lack of water by eating ants, up to several thousand a day. Most rain clouds pass by without releasing a single drop, but when rain does fall, the molok does something extraordinary. It finds a puddle just a few millimeters deep and steps into it. Its skin acts like blotting paper, absorbing moisture through tiny channels thanks to capillary action. This water spreads across its body, giving its skin a shiny sheen. When the water reaches its mouth, the molok drinks, all while keeping an eye out for danger. Ladies and gentlemen, here is an animal that drinks water with its feet. Now you've really seen it all. That's all for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and check out the 2 previous videos.